Hey everybody! I'm here today to tell you to get rid of these 7 driving faults before your driving test. In this video, I'll be going over 7 specific faults that you should get rid of before you take your driving test. If you have any of these faults during your driving test, if you demonstrate any of these bad driving habits, there's going to be less of a likelihood of you passing. So let's get right into the video. Driving fault number 1 is leaving at the last possible moment. Now here's the thing, when you leave at the last possible moment, what happens is you're more rushed to get where you need to go, which makes it less likely, or I should say, which makes it more likely for you to get into a dangerous driving situation and less likely for you to be safe on the road. So what I would recommend is get out of the habit of leaving at the last possible moment and get into the habit of leaving earlier. Now here's the thing, most of the time people leave at the last possible moment because they're doing things at home. Figure out what you're doing at home and figure out how you can do it at the location that you're driving to. So for instance, if you're at home sending emails before you go to your driving test and you leave at the last possible moment, instead leave 20 minutes earlier, get to the driving test center, and then go on your phone and send emails from your phone when you're there. It'll make you less rushed, more likely to be safe on the road. And if you rush towards the driving test, you're probably going to be rushing during the driving test, which makes it less likely for you to pass, okay? More likely for you to put yourself and the examiner in a dangerous driving situation, okay? Driving fault number 2 that you need to kick to the curb is speeding. So many people have a bad habit of speeding, okay? Now, this is horrible when you have your license, but it's even worse before you have your license. Because when you speed and you have your license, you'll probably get a ticket, right? But when you speed and you don't have your license and you speed on the driving test, you're probably not gonna pass. So you're never gonna get your license to begin with. So figure out how to maintain the proper speed and figure out how to not speed. Now, even if you're going the speed limit, when the weather conditions are not ideal, so when it's snowing or raining, that is still considered speeding, maybe not in terms of legality, but in terms of the driving test examiner is going to think you're driving too fast. So speeding doesn't only mean driving over the speed limit, it might mean driving too fast for the weather or the road condition, not the weather or the road conditions as well. Driving fault number 3 that you need to just take and just throw it out the window is rolling stop signs, okay? Now, like I said, rolling stop signs is bad when you have your license, but it's even worse when you don't have your license and you're gonna take your driving test. If you're driving on your driving test and you accidentally roll a stop sign, meaning you don't come to a complete stop because it's a bad habit of yours, chances are you'll either fail automatically, depending on where you live, or you'll lose a massive amount of points, which means that you have to do perfect for the rest of the test pretty much in order to pass. When you roll a stop sign, it can be considered as a dangerous driving action, which can lead you to almost automatically fail. Driving fault number 4 that you need to take and throw it out the sunroof is getting distracted while driving. Now, people think that getting distracted only means using your cell phone. That is far from the truth. If you're driving and you're listening to music and you're bobbing your head like this, that's distracted driving. If you're driving and you're staring at the landmark on the side of the road, that's distracted driving. If you're driving and you see an animal on the side, you're like, wow, look at that beautiful animal, that's distracted driving. If you're driving and your mind just isn't fully focused, that's distracted driving. So figure out if you are fully focused when you're driving, and if you're not, then get fully focused when you're driving. Because if you're on the driving test, if you're doing the driving test and you're not fully focused, the examiner's gonna know and you're gonna lose points or possibly fail right away. Driving fault number 5 that you need to get rid of, I'm trying to think of more things to say. Take it, throw it out the trunk, okay? Driving fault number 5 is not doing the right safety checks before turning or changing lanes. Now, there are certain safety checks that you need to do before turning or changing lanes. My rule of thumb is that you have to always check your rear view mirror, then you have to check one of your side mirrors, right or left, depending on which side you're moving towards, then one of your blind spots, right or left, depending on which side you're moving towards. So if I was switching lanes to the right or turning to the right, I would do rear view mirror, right side mirror, right blind spot, okay? Along with the signal and so forth. If I was switching lanes to the left or turning to the left, I would do rear view mirror, left side mirror, left blind spot. So it's very, very important that you do the right safety checks before you turn that steering wheel in any sort of direction. Okay, driving fault number 6 that you need to get rid of is steering roughly. If you don't know how to steer smoothly, then you need to learn how to do it. Because if the driving test examiner is sort of being thrown from side to side, then that means you're less likely to pass, okay? Because they want to see that you know how to drive safely, but also smoothly. And part of driving smoothly is steering smoothly. So don't steer roughly. Take that bad habit, just crunch it up, throw it out in the garbage can, okay? Last but not least, driving fault number 7 that you need to take and put it down the trash compactor, okay? That's what you need to do with that one, is following too closely. This is one of the worst ones because it can literally create a completely unsafe driving situation. So if you follow too closely, you have to react faster, you're more likely to have to slam on your brakes, and you're more likely to actually rear-end someone. And that means if you slam on your brakes, you're more likely to get rear-ended from the person behind you. Now here's the thing, if you get rear-ended, okay, it doesn't automatically mean that it's not your fault, right? Because if you're doing your driving test, first of all, collision will result in an automatic cancellation or failure of your driving test, whether you get rear-ended or whether you rear-end someone. But if you're taking your driving test and you have to slam on your brakes because you're following too closely, and then that causes you to get rear-ended, you know, sure, you didn't hit anybody, but you slammed on your brakes because of your choice of following too closely, which caused you to get rear-ended. So it's as simple as that. It might not be 100% your fault, but believe you me, it's probably still going to be partially your fault. And that's basically it, okay? Those are the 7 driving faults that you need to get rid of before your driving test. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.